What's up, my dear boys and girls, it's your Ranger here, and welcome to a video that I was actually thinking about for a long while now. But I do think that with the reveal of both the Diamond and Pearl remakes and Pokemon Legends, it would be an appropriate timing to just talk a little bit more about the Diamond and Pearl anime. This anime season, alongside XY, is still regarded as one of the best seasons of all time, and one major reason for that was female protagonist Dawn and her numerous memorable moments, with one of them being the return of May. In today's video, I want to talk about why this specific return of May in Diamond and Pearl, in my humble opinion, might be, till this day, the best return of all time. So if you want to know more, if you want to know my opinion, then grab some popcorn, grab some cookies, and let's do this. So before we will dive into the actual return, we have to take a closer look at what happened before that, and therefore we have to take a look at Dawn before the return of May. So during the beginnings of her contest career, she had some slight ups and downs, like for example losing against Zoe in the finals of her very first contest.
Excuse me for the interruption, but it was actually in the semifinals. Just wanted to add that. Please don't hurt me.
Or winning against Kenny in her second. And even though she lost against Zoe in the
semifinals,
she wasn't that devastated at all, because she reached the finals in her very first contest, which indeed is very impressive, and her having those two success moments, in my opinion, not only majorly boosted her confidence, but also her ego. Dawn and ego? What do you mean by that? Well, for that we have to look at the next two contests, which caused a major change in her overall story and especially a change in her personality. In her third contest in Half One City, the performance round was a tag team performance, and she barely had any real experience at it. But despite her lack of experience, Dawn's confidence went so through the roof that her inexperience didn't bother her at all, causing her to say even things like this, with only having two contests beforehand.
Thanks to all the great advice you gave me about double performances, I know I'll look great.
You know you'll look great?
I can't wait. You've taught me so much about contests, Zoe.
I think your priorities are a little messed up. The Pokemon is the star, not the coordinator.
Huh?
This super contest's famous for the high level of talent it gets.
Then that means this'll be a great warm-up for the Grand Festival.
Now don't get too far ahead of yourself.
Come on, no need to worry, we're great. And I'm sure Baneri's going to give me an awesome performance like you two did. On to round two.
See? All that training really paid off.
I'm feeling really confident this time. That second ribbon's as good as mine. No doubt it's gonna be me and Zoe in the final round.
Now slow down, Dawn. We have to get past the first round.
Yeah!
And after getting knocked out in the performance stage, she visibly broke down, since this was her very first experience of failure. But luckily she was able to shake off this misstep, and she kept moving on, while improving herself and even gaining an Ambipom from a trade with Ash. And so her fourth contest arrived. She trained her new Pokemon, improved her Ambipom Swift move in a really impressive way, and went into the next competition with a better attitude, and she still lost, because despite having a more humble attitude, she still made the mistake of making her moves all flashy and nice looking instead of concentrating on the presentation of her Pokemon. And this time, Dawn wasn't able to shake it off. She wasn't able to find a proper solution to her problem, and combining that problem with her constantly pressuring herself to not disappoint her mom, she fell into a deeper state of depression. So it seems like that at this point, Dawn wasn't really able to get out of it on her own. And with that, let's talk about Dawn during the return of May. So by the time May has returned back to the anime, we naturally get all the good stuff, which people connect with a return of an old friend. A lot of nostalgia, showing the amount of progress that the character has done until then, in May's case evolving her Eevee and her other known Pokemon and gaining more ribbons, and establishing her story, her character, and her past to the current generation. Like for example, her story by showing off the Johto ribbons, while also pointing out that just like Dawn herself, May also is struggling a lot right now. Her character, like her being a hardcore food enthusiast, and establishing her past with, for example, the whole history between her and Ash, and her telling both Dawn and Zoe later on that during the beginnings of her journey, May didn't like Pokemon at all, but thanks to contests, she learned to love them. But despite dwelling a lot in the past glory, the anime also uses these return episodes to make abundantly clear that despite her being this really nice and understanding person, she is first and foremost Dawn's competition. During their tag team battle, Dawn experienced firsthand how skillful the Queen of Hoenn actually is, and the more the Wallace Cup proceeded, the more Mei has shown off her skills, and she even was able to defeat Zoe in the process, aka the main rival of Dawn. All of that once again putting a lot of pressure onto Dawn, which once again caused her to doubt herself and her own abilities a lot, until her Piplup gave her a much needed wake up call. With that, Dawn's overall feeling of pressure and nervousness went away, and she finally succeeded in not only focusing on presenting the appeal of her Pokemon, which is something she struggled a lot during her last 2 contests, but she also regained something she has forgotten for such a long time, just enjoying herself and being totally in sync with her Pokemon. The more she advanced in the Wallace Cup, the more you could see how much fun she had and how much of a unit she became with her Pokemon. And even though Mei in the anime was presented as this huge obstacle that Dawn has to overcome, she not only wasn't nervous and full of self-doubt like in the past, but she was excited and looked forward to the challenge against Mei, which in the end she mastered with flying colors. Now, before we answer the main question of the video, let's talk a bit about the aftermath of Mei's reappearance in the anime. Let's talk about Dawn after the return of Mei. Like in the past, she still witnessed as much success as she witnessed failure. Like for example, success with her winning against Lila, who was the past rival of Dawn's mom, but also failures like her loss against Kenny and James. Man, this moment is still funny. But as funny as that loss against James was, there was also this really memorable moment soon after that, where Ash and the others were rushing to Dawn to cheer her up, only to find her not being devastated at all, and instead of crying and being depressed like in the past, she was being optimistic and she looked forward to train and improve herself together with her Pokemon. So after recapping everything with Dawn before, during and after the return of Mei, let us finally answer the topic of today's video. Why is the return of Mei in Diamond and Pearl, in my opinion, the best return of all time? If you look at the title and thumbnail of my video, you would automatically assume that this video is all about Mei. But if you actually watched my video, you would quickly come to the conclusion that this video in actuality is all about Dawn. Dawn before the return of Mei, Dawn during the return of Mei, and Dawn after the return of Mei. And the reason I structured the video the way it is to make one simple statement. The main focus of a return of an old companion should never completely be about the old companion. And no, I'm not saying that they are not allowed to show nostalgia, show their characters, their progress and their past, because that is what the viewers naturally expect from a return. You want to relive the good old days. You want to see the personalities and habits of these beloved characters, and since they are so beloved, you want to know what they've been up to since the last time we saw them. But we should also not forget that their time in the spotlight is over, and that we should also focus on the current generation. One example of how to totally not do a proper return was the whole Brock and Misty return in Sun and Moon, which I personally still consider the worst return of all time. Just like Mei, they showed nostalgia, they established their personality, and like in the case of Brock, they even used the return to further advance in their career, but at the same time they didn't elevate the current generation at all. The Sun and Moon gang gained no significant kind of development in their story, and overall the return only benefited the OG gang and the OG gang alone. Now, people would probably think things like, oh, if Serena would have returned in Sun and Moon instead of Misty, then you wouldn't say that, or you wouldn't care about that by the time Serena returns to Pokemon Journeys, when in actuality I would. Of course, I would enjoy relieving things like her progress, her story, and some good Amor shipping moments. But I also would feel very conflicted if Serena only would be there for the nostalgia alone and wouldn't use the past experience to elevate the likes of Go or especially Koharu/Chloe, which I would love, since even though I really like Serena, I also really like both Go and Koharu. So my wish scenario for Serena's return would be what Mei did with Dawn. Like I mentioned before, Mei did the same things that Brock and Misty did, but unlike the two of them, she used all that establishing of her past, her story, her character, her experience, and her skills, not to benefit herself, but to display herself as this ultimate boss, this final obstacle, this one final step for Dawn to overcome, not only to win the Wallace Cup, but first and foremost, to finally break out of this cycle of self-doubt and depression. Yes, I know, Dawn rebuilding her confidence wasn't all on Mei, because Dawn started to tackle her depression by battling and therefore helping out Maylene. But in my opinion, the anime showcased everything that May represented in her generation and used her as this final step, this final boss to help Dawn so that she can once and for all leave her depression behind, and as a result of that, she grew and matured as a character. And that is why, till this day, I regard May's return in the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl anime as the best return of all time. Anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed this little discussion video. What is your opinion? Tell me, just like always, I see you guys in the comments down below. Bye guys!